Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Just a couple of weeks ago, we did the story on Mary McAllan saying that world leaders were beating a path to her door to ask her advice on things like net zero and renewable power and wind turbines and all sorts of things like that. And how we laughed, because we knew that that was quite clearly a load of old rubbish. The Saturday girl knows nothing. She's got no experience, no knowledge, and nobody will be taking advice from a woman whose only role, it seems, is to be the travel companion to Humza Yousaf. They turned up at COP28 on different planes and left on different planes, hoping we wouldn't notice. However, now that she's returned and she makes these outrageous claims that people are banging at her door, as it were, well, we laughed because it was rubbish, and now it seems that we were laughing correctly because there is no evidence whatsoever that this has been the case, and the question has been asked. We mocked her then, and we'll mock her now. Let's have a look at the wonderful made-up world of Mary McAllan. What a Burke. Here she goes. So, Mary McAllan, world leader advice claim in doubt, as the SNP government failed to provide evidence to back up her statement. Of course they can't provide evidence. Either there's lots of evidence and they've deleted it, highly likely, or more likely, there's no evidence whatsoever. Who on earth is a world leader who's going to go and ask some second-rate twonk from a regional assembly advice on such major issues? Surely, A, they'll have their own people, and secondly, they'd ask scientists and engineers, not the girl who does the sweeping up in the local hairdressers on a Saturday morning. Anyway, the Scottish Government's Net Zero Secretary was mocked last year after telling... Was it that long ago? I thought it was only a few weeks ago. After telling Holyrood that world leaders have asked for the SNP executive's advice about climate change issues. I remember doing the video. I didn't realise it was that long ago, but there we go. Yeah, we did that. We mocked because, of course, it's quite clearly rubbish. Nothing of the sort. Anyway, Mary McAllan's widely mocked claim that world leaders, come off it, have approached the Scottish Government to ask for advice on climate change initiatives have been shrouded in doubt after officials failed to provide any evidence of this happening. And only correspondence from a Zambian leader was garnered through a separate Freedom of Information request. Zambia. Great place. Do go. Dar es Salaam. Up on there. Lovely. But it's not world leaders, is it? And it wasn't about that. She makes these outrageous claims in order to justify her position. But we all know nobody will ever ask Mary McAllan's advice for anything. Except maybe she'll get it tinted. The Scottish Government's Net Zero Secretary responded to stark criticism from Scottish Lib Dem leader Willie Rennie, who mocked her for failing on targets to install heat pumps in Scottish homes, and asked whether on her recent taxpayer-funded trip to COP28, where she wasn't invited, had told world leaders about this. In response, McAllan said, "More often than not, world leaders are approaching the Scottish Government asking for our advice on how we have managed to lead the way so successfully on a number of fronts." But this comment was not substantiated by the SNP executive, and nor could it ever be, because it is a load of old dingo's kidneys, isn't it? It's rubbish. The Scottish Daily Express asked through the Freedom of Information whether the government could supply evidence to back up this statement, including the names of world leaders who sought advice on energy in houses, when this happened, and a copy of the advice that was given out. Hearken unto the silence, dear friends. In response, the government claimed it could not find any of this data, as it would be too hard for it to do so. Let me tell you, if that data existed, they'd have gone bing, 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 bing. There it is, look. Too hard for it to do so. Too hard to create it out of thin air. An official wrote, "While our aim is to provide information wherever possible, in this instance, the Scottish Government does not have the information you have requested." No, of course they don't. Of course they don't, because it doesn't exist. The Scottish Government does not maintain a central log of occasions where we receive requests for advice. While correspondence and meetings with heads of state and government are recorded by the Scottish Government, these do not record requests for advice as a specific category, which is her get-out. She can't prove it. She's made the claim. She can't back it up because the Saturday girl doesn't know what she's doing, does she? Who on earth would ask her for advice? Answers: none. They said, therefore, to compile a list of instances of the Scottish Government being approached for advice, we would need to interpret each minute and assess whether it could constitute a request for advice. This would involve creating new information using a degree of expert skill and subjective judgment rather than just compiling information already had. It's a little old bollocks answer, we know that. If she's so confident, she will know who she gave the advice to. She is brilliant. She's got a memory, and she'll be able to say, oh, I told this and I told that. I remember writing this to so-and-so. Come on, Mary, you can do it. You've got your records. You can tell your office staff to go and look. You can do it. Go on, go on. Of course she's not going to do it. She hasn't done it. It's like she's lied. The lady lied. Lies. It's the SNP way, isn't it? Lying. Anyway, in addition to this revelation, the Scottish Daily Mail reported that the SNP executive produced one document when asked a similar question about evidence to back up Miss McAllan's claims. One letter between Humza Yousaf and the Zambian head of state was produced about details of a renewable energy centre. The interaction was between the First Minister and I do hope I don't cock this up, Hakainde Hichilema. I'm going to have a go at that, and if I got that wrong and mangled it, I apologise. He's the president of the African country, which is the Zambia. Oh, not the Zambia, the Gambia. The head of Zambia. With the SNP leader writing to his counterpart about 2 months after an official visit to Edinburgh in May 2023, where the pair discussed £1 million in funding for vaccine research. Why is Zambia doing vaccine research? Why not leave that to the big players? Who knows? Buy the vaccine by all means, but research seems a bit odd. Anyway, and $1 million in research in terms of like that is nothing, is it? Anyway, Miss McAllan, here's an interesting fact, and people are often unaware, but you should know, is that during the war, a pharmaceutical company asked for 150 Jewish women who wanted to do tests on a vaccine. All 150 died. That pharmaceutical company then asked for another 150, and it burnt through them. And then for a third attempt, it got another 150 Jewish women. Some of them survived and, lived all the way through the war. But some of those who survived were then sent back to the camps and died. And that's experimentation on human beings, and for which Bayer, the German pharmaceutical company, has never made reparation. Just to be aware that when you get your medication and it says Bayer on there, just know how it's been tested. Anyway, that's an aside. Anyway, Mr. McAllan was roundly mocked when a video of her exchange with Mr. Reddy went viral in December last year. Scottish Tory Net... Oh, so it was only a month, it was 6 weeks, 7 weeks ago. They're not too bad. Anyway, Scottish Tory Net Zero spokesperson Douglas Lumsden said, it appears as though the Saturday girl has misled Parliament, perhaps with the objective of dodging scrutiny. A Scottish Government spokesman said the letter cited predates a meeting between the First Minister and the Minister of Zambia at COP28. Why is he having meetings with the Zambian guy? And were there any Foreign Office delegation there with him? I suspect probably not. They'd have kept a record of it. Anyway, discussions focused on climate challenges and the need for collaboration. So there was one man who asked Humza Yousaf and no one who asked Mary McAllan, and she claims they came beating at her door. What a load of old rubbish that she spouts as she's desperately trying to make the claims so she can keep her job. A woman who is well out of her depth. She should go back to the hairdressers. I think the floor's getting rather messy and it does need to be swept. Coming up. What is it with the SNP? They literally cannot tell the truth, ever. Not once, not even by accident. Lies, 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 all the time. Something like that. If she'd have said nothing, nothing would have been said. But to make this claim, it just makes her look ridiculous and stupid. But then she is in the SNP, and that's sort of, it's game on then for then, isn't it? That's normal. She tries to make herself look clever. She tries to make herself look important, and she doesn't. Because nobody wants advice about energy from Mary McAllan. Ridiculous claim. Anyway, we'll finish there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.